What moment made you say, "Yep, I'm definitely dead," but survived with no major injuries? Insane car crash. Sitting stopped at a red light and a woman not watching the road at all, texting, hit me at highway speeds. I was pushed into the crossing traffic that somehow all dodged me. Someone ran up to the car and first question was, "Oh my God, you're alive?" And I answered honestly, "I'm not sure." I couldn't open my door but climbed out the window. The entire back of the car was collapsed in. I was driving home from college on one of those highways with only one lane in either direction and no shoulder. A guy in the oncoming lane didn't see me as I was in a small car. He thought he could pass 4 18-wheelers in one go and pulled into my lane going at least 90. There was nowhere for me to go. He flew off into the ditch to avoid hitting me head-on, likely did severe damage to his car, but I lived. I was drunk and running in the woods when bam, barbed wire fence straight to the throat. The last thing I remember, I couldn't breathe and was passing out and there was blood squirting from my neck. Woke up an hour later and walked home looking like a murder victim. Had a paintball fight on Christmas morning with 2 cousins and their neighbor kid at around 13 years old with our brand new guns we got as gifts. The neighbor got mad, ran home, came back with a shotgun, and pointed at my face. All I remember is looking at the ground and waiting to die. Edit. The kid was 11-12. He did have his own paintball gun, and had already shot me a couple times before I got him. He was my cousin's neighbor. I think it was the first time I ever met him. It was 20-ish years ago, as I'm 33 now, so I can't even remember if I told my parents. I don't know if anything happened to him or not. I'll ask my cousin. Edit 2. Cousin said we never told parents. Maybe we were scared of retaliation. I know I never touched that paintball gun again though. I ate one of those Brock's oval-shaped hard candies. Think they were called Sparklets, at home alone when I was 6. Got stuck in my throat. I stood there in shock for a few seconds as I started to realize I couldn't breathe. I ran crazily around the room and ended up colliding hard into the back of the couch, which caused the candy to go flying out. Best accidental Heimlich ever. Typo edit. I'm a skier. On a few occasions I have caught an edge at a pretty high speed, 50 plus mph or more. That moment when you feel both skis leave the ground when they're not supposed to is horrifying. Somehow I've never had anything more than some moderate whiplash and a sprained wrist, knock on wood. I had leg cramp and a momentary blackout when swimming in a diving pool when I was 16. I was really active that I overexert my limit. Surprisingly, I didn't really panicked. Just the dreadful thought, "Oh shit, I'm fucked." Funny thing is that I didn't really wingle my hands out of the pool panickingly like I usually see in the TV, just silently sinking. Good thing the pool guard on duty noticed me and went for my rescue by pulling me out. Really wish I thanked the guard more that he saved me instead of me cluelessly sitting outside the lobby after the accident. Every time my heart does the pinch thing and starts beating irregularly. Edit. Thanks everyone for the concern. I do have an anxiety disorder and a weirdly developed heart, so those are double trouble. The hood on my car came open at 60 on the highway and completely blocked my sight in heavy traffic. I panicked and jerked the wheel a little bit, which caused me to fishtail a little bit. I shit you not. My driver's education teacher's words from 5 years prior rang in my head to lean down and look through the space at the bottom of the hood. I pulled over and used some wire I found in the trunk to keep the hood closed. Anytime you close your hood, make sure it latches securely by pulling on the hood like you're trying to lift the front of the car off the ground. Edit. Jesus, this is a lot more common than I thought. Tire popped going over a 2-lane road with steep drops on both sides. My car jerked to the side hard, and my car went sideways. Half my car hung over the side, and luckily it's low so it bottomed out. I climbed into the back seat and jumped out the back door. Some dude in a truck pulled me out and I drove on a flat to the other side and swapped my tire out. Went white water rafting on the Gauley River and my raft flipped on Pillow Rock, one of the most famous Class V rapids. Scariest moment of my life, but, other than unexpectedly swallowing some water and almost vomiting, I came out completely unharmed. A really bad flash fire at work where I jumped into a pit to get away from the heat. I saw the flames roll right over top of the pit. I thought for sure I was going to die. I got some wicked third-degree burns, but I lived. I was driving down a highway, doing 65 miles per hour, and suddenly my car started to shake. I tapped the brakes in reflex and my entire car flipped 180 degrees. I'm now facing oncoming traffic, including a semi-truck. I was so close I couldn't see the driver compartment. I screamed and jerked the wheel, bringing me in front of a sedan with two people screaming as they watched me appear out of nowhere. I kept screaming and floored the gas pedal. Made it to the side of the road and cried for a long time. I had blown a rear tire. Hitting the brakes was a terrible choice. Parachute deployed but failed to open. That was one of those moments, then training kicked in. Cut away failed shoot, deploy secondary. But for a brief moment life was about to be over in my mind. I was driving on the turnpike in my Mazda 3 in the hard rain. It was 3 lanes and I was in the left lane doing 55, and then I hit standing water and hydroplaned. I did a full 360 spin across all 3 lanes of traffic and ended up in the shoulder stopped. I didn't hit anyone or anything, no one hit me, and one car was so scared with me they also pulled over, but didn't check on me. To this day I'm still a bit scared in the rain. I lost control of my car as a teen, speeding on backcountry roads at like 3 a.m. Unlikely to be other traffic at that time. I was doing about 70 miles per hour when my tire caught the edge of the road and I lost control. I was spinning around in the middle of the road and shit just waiting on a tree. Ended up just rolling backwards into a gully and getting stuck. No car damage or anything. Pretty crazy to say the least. In one of my first solo flights, when Cessna's pilot door opened during a turn and my belt was the only thing between my ass and the ground, 2,000 female away. When I accidentally got drugged at a party because I drank the drink of a female friend, I left for home on my own and fell from my bike 5 times and landed in the bushes next to the road. I threw up everything I had inside me and was so disoriented that I couldn't get up anymore. I slept trough the night in the bushes while it was 13°C out, and had multiple occasions where I thought I would die. Called emergency numbers multiple times but they wouldn't come and eventually got picked up by a taxi chauffeur that brought me home after laying in a wet bush for 8 hours. I couldn't leave my bed for 3 days after that. Only thing I am happy about in that experience is that the female friend didn't drink it and got home safely. When both the stewardess and pilot at different times came on the loudspeaker of the plane saying they are doing their best to land safely. Then seeing the fire engines and other emergency vehicles on the runway waiting for us. The plane landed fine, but as it was going for the landing a weird calm came over me because I knew I wasn't going to make it, and that was fine. Fell asleep driving through the night with my brothers. They were supposed to stay awake and help me stay awake, but were out cold. I woke up as the right front tire kissed the gravel on the side of the highway, ripped the wheel to the left, and managed only to spin out. Weird thing was, while it was happening, I was crystal clear, fully focused, and totally in control as if time had slowed down, but thinking that we were all dead. What fetish is more common than people think? I guess all fetishes are more common than people think. Being loved. I wanted to watch how people react in quicksand, and found out there's a fetish on people sinking. Bondage. Surprisingly it is quite common. Getting tied up and bound by a partner they trust. An act of surrendering power to let someone completely assume control. At least I think that's a kink. Breeding kink. Encountered at IRL and otherwise. You'd think millennials who indulge in casual sex would try to avoid it. But the idea of doing it raw and risking pregnancy is often floated when sexting, and not gonna lie, sometimes it can be enticing. No one is saying anything about public fetishes and NGL. I'm surprised. Y'all want the truth? Rape. There's entire websites dedicated to rape play and rape scenes from movies. Does Ctrl+F. Searches fetish. Find something. Oh thank God, it's not just me. Half the stuff I see on R. Gone Wild Audio honestly. Edit. Thanks for making this my highest scored comment? Not knocking that subreddit at all, it's fun, but it made me realize that some people enjoy certain things more. Girls are really into wheelchair guys with a functional dong. My friend, a former Paralympic athlete, signed up for Tinder and the matches flooded in. He told me some were as straightforward as, "Does it work? I've always wanted." He had a nice binge of what he described to be some relatively dominant women coming over. After a bit, he actually deleted Tinder from his phone. He said he doesn't have enough self-control to avoid an STD with the amount of use he was getting. Hand fetishes. My ex-girlfriend had a really weird fetish. She used to like to dress up as herself and then act like a fucking bitch all the time. Bo Burnham. This is the kind of thread the sentence, "less than you think, more than you'd hope," was made for. Peeling that plastic off of a brand new electronic device. Pregnancy fetish. Does paying my bills without living paycheck to paycheck count as a fetish? If so, I'm in deep. Feet fetishes. They're actually one of the most common ones. Incest is clearly way more popular than people like to admit. Mind control. Very common. Also, once you go back and watch kids' media as an adult for whatever reason, you see a lot of mind control. Makes me wonder why more people aren't into it. NGL. Edit. Figures that a post about Hypnoc would both be my first post to get over 1K upvotes and get me my first award. Thanks for the silver, kind stranger.